Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Robert Ferguson, America's fat loss coach, nutritionist, fitness expert, author, and someone who actually cares. If you are looking for advice, guidance, to be entertained as it pertains to you being healthier and happier, you're in the right place. Today, I am going to share with you information about brain strokes, right? When people have a stroke. Someone in your family probably had a stroke. You hear about people having strokes all the time. Dick Clark, someone I admired for many, many, many years. If you remember Dick Clark, American Bandstand, he had a stroke at the age of 75, and we saw it when he finally was able to come back. He ended up dying at the age of 82. Luke Perry, remember Luke Perry? Luke Perry died at the age of 52 from a stroke. Samantha Morton had a stroke. John Singleton had a massive stroke and died as a result, and he was in his early 50s. Zaza Gabor had a stroke. Gene Kelly back in the day had a stroke. Rick James had a stroke. Bill Paxton. Remember Bill Paxton? He goes way back to Weird Science. I fell in love with him as an actor in Aliens. And then he had some, different TV shows, and he was amazing. And I actually had an opportunity to meet Bill Paxton once. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And he died at the age of 61. Not good. So strokes are bad. And most recently, as I record this video for you, Sinbad, the comedian actor, had a stroke. Now, he didn't die. He's currently going through the steps to get back, because you can recover from a stroke. And oftentimes people get all their functions and abilities back. And sometimes, like Dick Clark, they never ever get back to 100%. Now, the sad part, and why I'm talking about strokes today and Sinbad, is because there are things that we can all do to reduce the likeliness of our experiencing a stroke. And so I'm going to share that with you. And at the same time, you can reach out to us. Go to dietforyourlife.com and you can learn more about what we do and how the program works. We also have a Facebook group I want to encourage you to come out to. And if you're on Instagram, then follow me on Instagram, and we provide all the links there for you. On Instagram, what's cool is that I actually post pictures of what we call fat burning meals. A fat burning meal is a meal based on the way the food is combined that will help you eat what you want to eat without causing your blood sugar levels to spike too high and drop too low. And we call that fat burning mode. Fat burning mode is where you want to be, especially if you want to lose some body fat or you don't want to gain weight. And we don't ask you to avoid any food groups. Yes, isn't that inviting? Now, how does this work? Stroke, like you hear about it, Uncle Bobby, Aunt Sue had a stroke, like what is it? So I have some notes, and I just want to make sure I stay on course to share with you some information that can 100% help you. But everything that I'm going to share with you is about a philosophy that I live with and I encourage, where I refer to life as creating health. The opposite of creating health is preventing disease. Most people, unfortunately, live their life based on prevention. It's like they're on defense. They react. Creating health is when you don't have to react. You don't even got to step on the scale, because everything that you do, as far as how you handle stress, how you think about life, how active you are with your exercise, what you do in the form of nutrition, how you eat, what you eat, how often you eat, all of that, when you're doing it in a way that contributes to your health, is creating health. When it's not creating, it's prevention, right? There's a lot of people we know that are in prevention, meaning they wait for something to happen and then they want to make a change in their life. Now, that could be someone, and they could shift there and then begin creating health. I've had clients who become type 2 diabetic, and they're on a mission to reverse it. They don't want medication. They have taken on a whole new lifestyle of creating health, and they're not looking back. There's nothing to check. because they know what is necessary in order to get themselves in the best shape condition possible. Okay, so creating health is what I'm advocating, not prevention of disease. Also, let me just say up front that everything I'm going to share doesn't mean that you're not, if you did everything perfectly, that does not mean that you're not going to ever experience a stroke. It does reduce the likeliness of you experiencing a stroke, right? If you don't have high blood pressure, then that means you're less likely to experience a stroke. If you're not overweight or you don't have excess body fat, you're less likely to experience a stroke. If you handle stress well and you're able to cope and deal, that's going to help you reduce the likelihood of a stroke. The saddest part about a stroke is that it just shows up. It's like the silent killer, man. It just shows up. You don't see it coming. You can be by yourself and it just happens. So to help us understand what a stroke is, I want to share a little bit of data with you. And then I will give you some tips on exactly how to eat, how active to be, some of the key things that you can do to create health so that you reduce the likelihood of experiencing a stroke. I think that's fair. I think that's cool. And thank you for this opportunity. Okay, what is a stroke? A stroke is a medical emergency. That's what a stroke is. A stroke happens when blood flow to your brain stops. If the blood flow stops because of a clot, that means the blood flow stopped, you're experiencing a stroke. And there are levels of strokes. You'll hear people say there's a mini stroke, a massive stroke. So there's really 3 types of strokes, but almost everywhere you go, you'll hear people talk about the 2 main strokes, okay? And before I share with you those 2 main strokes, keep in mind also that when you experience that blockage, okay, of oxygen to the brain, blood flow to the brain, within minutes, brain cells start dying. And sometimes this will totally disrupt the rest of your life, the quality of your life, etc. The first type of stroke is called ischemic. Yeah, I always have a hard time with that word, ischemic. That's the first one. The ischemic is caused by blood clots that block or plug a blood vessel in your brain. Hemorrhagic, which is the other stroke, not as common, is caused by a blood vessel that breaks and bleeds into the brain. Now, I always tell my clients, you don't need to memorize any of this stuff. You don't need to know the name of it because we're going to focus on creating health and not prevention of disease. Oftentimes you'll meet someone who knows a lot about a lot of things but don't do any of what they know. And the gap between what they know and what they do is huge, which means somewhere inside they're not feeling as confident, they're somewhat insecure, there's some psychological things blocking them from creating health. So sometimes that happens because they're just not aware. Okay, so what happened to Sinbad is not good, and that's why it's time for me to share some information to help you and anyone who's living life on this planet. Okay, let's look at the symptoms. So there's all the symptoms start with this phrase of sudden, because a stroke, when it happens, man, it just happens. No warning, nothing that happens the day before, it just happens. So sudden numbness or weakness of the face, arm, or leg, especially on one side or the other, is when the stroke is happening. If this were to happen to you, do everything in your power to get to a hospital immediately. They have therapies in place and things that they can do to save your life and hopefully put you in a position where the recovery is going to be better. Another thing that takes place is sudden confusion, trouble speaking or understanding someone's speech. So if you're at Thanksgiving and Aunt Sherry is sitting over in the corner and she's trying to talk, but you can't, hear her or understand her, don't play games. Ask if she's okay. And if she's having a tough time, get her to a hospital immediately. Okay, immediately. Sudden trouble seeing out of one or both eyes. So if you're sitting there, and this happens, not every time you have like a little blur in one of your eyes or both of your eyes, does that mean you're having a stroke? But you will know. Get to a hospital. Sudden trouble walking, dizziness, when you lose your balance or coordination, that's a sign that you're experiencing a stroke. And sudden severe headaches out of nowhere. You have no idea why you got a headache. You just got a headache. Go to the hospital. Now, when you get to the hospital with these symptoms, they have things in place. And unfortunately, oftentimes they're going to prescribe some type of blood thinner. And many people who get prescribed a blood thinner will be on that blood thinner for the rest of their lives, which will lead to a whole bunch of other health issues. So it's really a sad thing. What I would like people to do, okay, these hospitals and the people you go to as experts, is to not be so quick to prescribe blood thinners, maybe for a moment just to get you set, but to encourage you to create health, to get your nutrition, your mind, your activity, your fitness level, take all of that to a whole nother level. And by doing that, you can change the game. Create health, not prevent it. Okay, people are suffering from strokes all day, every day. It is a bad, bad thing. The data that's out there, like we know that cardiovascular disease is the leading killer, right? People are having heart attacks more than anything. That's just killing so many people. But oftentimes the stroke will lead to that heart attack. So take it seriously and just focus on creating health. So what are things that you can do? You already know this, but let me just say it. Drink more water. Drink water to the point that whenever you urinate, your urine is closer to clear opposed to dark yellow. Learn how to eat. See, with diet-free life, our whole thing is not putting you on a diet. That's why it's called diet-free life. But empowering you with the knowledge so that you can choose how to eat, what you're going to eat in private or in public, but eat it in a way where your body is in fat-burning mode. There's 3 things that make that possible. 1, you learn how to combine food in a way that your blood sugar levels don't go too high. You learn how to portion your meals in a way where your blood sugar levels don't go too high. But you're still eating the foods that you want to eat. Whether it's organic, whether it's on the go, whether you're traveling, it meets you where you are. And then the timing of your meals, right? You eat in a way where your blood sugar levels don't go too low. And when that's the case, you're in fat burning mode, and being in fat burning mode is creating health. Otherwise, you'll shift your focus and it's all about prevention. You'll know, like I see this all the time with people who are, wanting to lose weight. When I get them focused on creating health, they don't even care about a scale. They have no interest in stepping on a scale. Why? Because they know that everything that they're doing, as far as eating, activity, the way they think, everything that they do is part of who they are. Their daily habits is helping them improve their health, right? They're creating health. And if there's weight to be lost, then the weight will come off. If there's energy to be enjoyed, they will notice an increase with their energy because they're focused on creating health. And you can't create health unless you have a wealth of knowledge. And I'm not saying that you have to become a nutritionist or you have to know, but you got to break through the clutter, all the confusion around nutrition. And that's what we do with Diet Free Life. And again, I'm not trying to sell you on our program, but our program does that. You want to learn how to eat the foods that you're going to eat anyway, whether people are around or not, but eat those foods in a way where you're creating health and not setting yourself up to be surprised with a new diagnosis, right? You don't want to be surprised and find out that you now are type 2 diabetic. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants a stroke. Nobody wants to have high blood pressure. Nobody wants to take another medication. So let's focus on creating health and not the prevention of disease. I hope that makes sense. I just want to invite you and encourage you to just do everything you possibly can to create health. Again, doesn't mean that you can eat the healthiest in the world and be as active and never get a stroke. There are 20-year-olds that experience strokes who are extremely fit and healthy. So genetically, sometimes it's just going to happen. But you can do certain things to reduce the likeliness of you experiencing a stroke. I'm Robert Ferguson. I want to thank you for coming by. Do me a favor and share this page. Invite people to come here, because our goal is to educate people around nutrition, around creating health, around fitness, not selling diets, not selling false promises, but giving people the real knowledge, cutting through the confusion. Because my belief, and the reason why we continue to find our country and the world getting more and more unhealthy, is that the uninformed, which is most people, are influenced by the misinformed. And that is the biggest problem. So I want you to be informed. And when you're informed with the right information, then you can make the right choices and feel empowered about it. And your kids pick up on it, your grandkids pick up on it, and it just becomes part of your way of life. And that is creating health. So like the page, subscribe, hit the bell, so that anytime I upload a new video, you are aware of it. Because my goal, again, is to help you live your healthiest life, what I refer to as a diet-free life. And I want you to create health so you don't find yourself falling prey to the prevention of disease, which means you become reactive and not proactive. I'm choosing for you and encouraging you to be proactive. So thank you for being here. Again, I appreciate you helping me get the word out about what we're doing here. And until the next one, peace.